United States. And with the president is world champion golfer, Mr. Tiger Woods.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow. This is some crowd. How are you? Thank you. Leo.
My bow tie. We at the White House. We back in here. We waiting on President Donald J. Trump. Yeah. I look so good in the red hat. Let me fix my bow tie.
Good morning and welcome to Let It Be Known. I'm telling you, there are some black people who don't want equality for black people who want power so that they can push nasty rhetoric just like their white counterparts. That is the epitome of dancing the jig. That is the epitome of going to the slave master instead of listening to Harriet. That is the epitome of what you would call a Sambo. And I'm not holding back today. Niel.
Okay, I'm here for it. Yesterday was very interesting. I watched White House correspondent for Black Press, April D. Ryan, report live from the White House. I saw some of the people standing on chairs. I saw I saw a poster or a fan of Jamal Bryant. Somebody had brought a poster of Jamal Bryant and was waving it in there. It was a lot of things going on that I want answers for, and I think we'll be able to get them a little later in the show.
A lot of niggery going on there. A lot. I mean, give me a break. With all the stuff that's going on, I mean, these guys and these people, look, let's just be real about it. They will eat Trump's groceries. Come on. I mean, these are disgusting, low life, earthworm.
All I could think about was that they found the 8% of black women. The 8% of black women that voted for him was in that room.
They found
all 8% of
They found them because they listen to their baby daddies, and that's what it was. They want to make sure that child support check keep coming. Just like the white women vote their interests, vote the anti-Negro interests and their own interests, so they can support the white man. That's what these people are doing.
I disagree a little bit. A lot of those black women in there weren't married. I know some of them because I've had to book them for shows. And they independently made a choice. Nobody swayed them. Nobody told them. Maybe their parents were.
There are some slaves that made the choice to stay slaves. There are some slaves that made the choice to stay slaves. And there are people today who have selected slavery over freedom. It's as simple as that. And that clown show, that shuck and jive show, is just ridiculous. And Tiger Woods, this is what you put up as a black man? A guy who said he doesn't want to be referred to and known as black.
Well, that makes him the perfect candidate, if you think about it. He's the perfect candidate to be at the White House.
The only difference
you had Herschel Walker there.
Oh, God.
You had Herschel Walker, Judge Joe Brown. All
these step and fetch Negroes. You
know what I have a problem with? The intimidation, or the attempt to intimidate. That whole sign right there of Dr. Jamal Bryant is an intimidation tactic. And, we just need to prepare ourselves to where if we speak up and we speak out, there may be repercussions, especially now that the new FBI director was confirmed yesterday.
And then those Negroes there was celebrating that. Oh, Cash Patel was, it's like, give it. Listen, you're going to be the first one you step out of line. You're the first one getting locked up.
Well, we can talk about that a little bit later in the show because we do have a Trumpster that was at the White House yesterday that'll be checking in with us a little bit later in the show. Her name is Danielle. They call her Danny. She's from Chicago, and she's going to check in and tell us why she supported Trump and why she was so excited to be at the White House yesterday.
Yeah, how does she feel now about supporting Trump? I want to find out. I mean, if she has any modicum of blackness, any modicum of feelings.
Oh, you would be surprised.
I probably would be surprised.
Get your popcorn
I
ready
will be
and your cups of
surprised.
coffee ready, folks. Because
Good
Stacey's ready to talk to Danny.
It's just ridiculous. It's you can support who you want to support, but my gosh, when you see this guy destroying lives left and right, and particularly black lives, and you got something to celebrate, yeah, ignoramus. Come on, bring her on. Bring her on.
Okay, but before we get there, we're going to start this morning. Second story is going to start in the city of Detroit. Joining us now is community activist from the Motor City. Welcome, Aaron Amos, folks.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here, Aaron. We wanted to start in Detroit because there is a lot going on, especially in our Black and Brown community in Detroit. So I wanted you to talk to us about what is happening with the pipes busting. We have cars freezing. We have people displaced. Can you give us an update on what's happening in Detroit?
Absolutely. So back on Monday, we had a water main break of 54 inches. So that's 4.5 feet of water main break that happened in a Detroit neighborhood. That's in Southwest Detroit. That is a predominantly Black and Mexican populated area in our city historically. And so you have over 300 families who have been displaced from this water main break. You had the water break, of course, on Monday. And then, of course, it rose to almost porch level for these residents. And then, of course, with the freezing temperatures of it being below freezing, it all froze. So you have blocks and blocks of people with their cars submerged in ice, with their front porches, their front lawns submerged in ice. People can't even get out of their homes in order to do everyday tasks. So you have everyone rallying around, from the American Red Cross to local churches, helping to do transportation to different places. We have food, heat, resources for all the families, but it's going to be about 4 to 6 weeks before we're able to get everyone back up on their feet and back in their homes. And right now, the goal is to appraise all the damage to see how much has been lost for these families going through this terrible situation.
Is there any sense of why this happened?
They're still investigating the cause of the break. Of course, they're giving a major factor of it being the weather, but literally everyone's coming together to try to get over this ice and this snow, because you literally have crews helping from all around, trying to give a helping hand. And after the ice is able to melt down a little bit, we'll be able to get in and see exactly what may have caused this break. But they do think that the freezing temperatures is to blame.
Wow, and that area has seen a lot. Listen, Detroit, greater Detroit has seen a lot of issues. We talked yesterday a little bit about if you go over to Flint with the water crisis, you had, I don't know what the home situation there. They were giving away homes, pretty much selling homes in certain neighborhoods for $1, trying to build it back up. I mean, how much can Detroit take? How much have you guys? I mean, what are you finding residents? How frustrated are they today?
Well, Detroit is a very resilient city. Our people stick together and we band together. From the ashes, we rise. That's one of our mottos. But I think Detroit has been on an uptick for a very long time now. And what you mentioned about the homes being sold for little as $1, that was a few years back with our land bank, just to get more Black people in home ownership and letting them be able to afford and buy land and buy lots within the city. So that was a program we were doing some time ago. But now you have the increased population in Detroit has rose by 15% in the last 15 years. You have the crime that has decreased. So we're doing strides to make it a better environment for our Black and brown brothers and sisters. But of course, there's still strides that we have to come through. The city has invested millions of dollars into infrastructure, into replacing a lot of pipes and a lot of water lines. Unfortunately, they just haven't made it to that area just yet. But of course, with this travesty, the goal is to speed up the process to get these pipes replaced.
Yeah, just real quick, Neo. One of the comments we recognize. I know Detroit is not Flint. It's about 68 miles from Detroit, but the point is, it's another Black area in Michigan, and I mean, an hour away is not too far to me, TPMD, and that's why I mentioned Flint. But go ahead, Neo.
Oh no. So with all that we see that's happening within the federal government and funding being freezed, is what's happening from the Trump administration impacting the resources that are needed for this community?
Right now, in the immediate answer, it will be no. For the long term, we see what the effects may be. But right now, our organizations, our resources have really band together to take everything they have and to use their last to make sure that these people of Detroit are taken care of, because there's one band, one sound around here in the 313. But we'll see what these policies will do for us in the long run, because we know it threatens grants, and we know it threatens the status of a lot of nonprofits that's doing great work, not only in our city, but several cities around the country.
Aaron,
Yeah.
make no mistake about it. Detroit also has been victimized by a lot of corruption, right? I mean, we know that the mayor's seat hasn't always been occupied by someone who is, let's say, for lack of a better term, honest, and or who have had the best interests of its citizens in mind. Um, how has government been, local government, has things improved in Detroit as far as having a leadership that can give residents the confidence that you can come out of this?
Absolutely. You know, our mayor for the past few years has been Mayor Mike Duggan, who has really dedicated himself to serving the people of Detroit and making sure there's a difference in tomorrow and the future for our kids and the future generations here in Detroit, in conjunction with our governor, Jennifer Grant. I'm sorry. That's our former governor, Gretchen Whitmore. But you have both of these individuals looking to move out of their seats pretty soon, right? Gretchen Whitmore is looking to leave governor and probably transition to a higher seat. And you have our mayor, Mike Duggan, leaving that mayor seat and making his bid for the governor's seat. So we have this transition of power that we hope the new seats that are being taken over are from people who are honest, authentic, vulnerable, and really truly care about the people of the city.
Yeah,
Now I see
we
that
like Gretchen.
I think it was
We love Big
yesterday.
Rich.
Okay, I see that Pastor Solomon Kinlock kicked off his bid for mayor. What are your thoughts about that black pastor from the community? What are your thoughts about him deciding to run for office?
You know, I think that we welcome all individuals who want to come and be an authentic leader for our people. We just want to make sure that we continue with that uptick in progress and that we continue making sure that we put the people first, right? These taxpayers are the same people that kept Detroit afloat back through the bankruptcy, back when no one wanted to come and see us, back when we had a lot of ruined, I would say, appreciated images, right? People will come and just go through our buildings, and we really didn't get the respect that we deserved. So those people stuck around and kept Detroit afloat. So we just pray that whoever comes in and makes this bid for mayor and whoever gets this seat truly and actually puts the citizens first.
So I know that you and Neil want to discuss some hip hop stuff. So I'm gonna eat some popcorn and watch that.
You know, well, we didn't want to discuss it, but since you brought it up, before we let you go here, I was going to let it walk on by. But since you brought it up, a lot of eyes are on Detroit for pop culture because of the Big Meech. You know, Big Meech came home, and now there is some back and forth between him and 50 Cent. You have the BMF show that's in jeopardy. You know, how is Detroit feeling about all of this? Meech coming home, 50 Cent pulling the show. What's the street saying, Aaron?
Well, you know, we're always happy to welcome a Detroiter back home, right? So we're happy for the release of Big Meech. And, you know, 50 Cent will always call out what he feels as though is inauthentic and something that he feels is not real, right? But as everyday people, we're behind the scenes. There's a lot of conversations we don't know that takes place, right? So at the end of the day, you know, we're here for the entertainment. We're here for a little bit of the drama, but we just hope that it's just a miscommunication, that they can all settle everything out. Because at the end of the day, we all love some BMF, right? So we just hope that everybody can keep it together and everybody can keep their checks coming in. So.
All right, Aaron, thanks for checking in with us from Detroit, and we'll check back in to see how your city's doing.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you all so much. And thank you for the work that you all do on this show. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron. Appreciate it. Well, you know, I look, Big Meech, 50 Cent, you know, it's one of those things. As Greer thinks, you know, I'm disinterested because 50 Cent has just disrespected Queens, and, you know, she doesn't like Queens. She got an issue. It's not my issue. It's Greer's issue.
Okay.
Queens keeps on faking it.
The IRS intends to begin laying off 6,000 employees starting Thursday as part of the job cuts slicing. I said Thursday. What's today? Friday, right? So it's today, Friday, that the layoffs are to begin, and it comes in the thick of tax filing season. And managers across the tax agency have been alerted to cuts targeting newer hires. That means people who have been in their jobs for less than 1 year, or in some cases 2 years, depending on their position. But here we go. In the middle of tax season, they are going to be cutting the IRS. And listen, we know why. We got a guy. Not only do we have a dictator there, but a guy who is probably never cut a check to the IRS in his life. A guy who refused to reveal his taxes. Um, so who has no respect for the IRS and really for the law. So no surprise here, right?
No surprise here. And I'm just thinking, as you were talking about that, just the whole how the Trump administration, I like to call, well, the Trump clan, that's what I call them,
Mhm.
how they are playing games because Elon, they have circulated this story that you might get $5,000, you might get
Oh my
5K.
gosh, yeah.
Meanwhile, they're gutting the IRS, and we don't even know how that's going to impact tax returns. So all those people that were at the White House celebrating, let's see how much they celebrate when their tax return is late or they don't get it at all.
They didn't get it at all. Just like those employees, they told them, "Oh, we're gonna buy you out or whatever," and then they turned around, as we knew was gonna happen. They get letters saying, "No, you were terminated for poor performance," and they never had
Mm-hmm.
performance evaluations, many of them. And
Right.
so terminating them for poor performance means, no, we don't owe you any type of separation pay whatsoever. We lied to you that we were going to pay you through the end of September.
Right.
And so those letters are coming in left and right. I've seen people crying about them, understandably so. I'd be crying too. Um, again, we're gonna talk to somebody later. This black woman, I guess, who is a Trump, or black person who's a
Well,
Trump
her name
supporter.
is Danny. Her name is Danielle. Come on,
Yeah, yeah.
let's call her by her name.
Danielle is we got it's already giving me a headache because most federal workers, as we know, a lot of federal workers are people of color, black people in particular, and they're getting rid of their jobs. They're not allowing funding to go to HBCUs and schools that have anything to do with teaching Black history or real history. They are Medicaid, Medicare. Just yesterday, they passed this bill, or the Senate did anyway, and
Mm-hmm.
the House said they want to take it further. Medicaid, Medicaid is mostly for the old elderly, and it's also for those who are a little less fortunate, who low income, and they are cutting that. And then you hear some of these supremacists say, well, we're gonna not only are we gonna cut it, but those who are fortunate enough to still get Medicaid, we're gonna have work requirements. And we're talking about older people. They've snatched away rights for those with disabilities, right? So how are they going to work? How are they going to work? And these are also military people. And they've
Yeah.
gutted the VA. And you gotta come on here and tell me that you still support this. You could I could care less who you vote for, but you got to be honest. You got to be real. And people are not willing to do that. You mentioned the $5,000 from Doge. Um, Jasmine Crockett got on X, and she said that it's ridiculous to think that they will be giving away $5,000. It's not $5,000 is not going to do anything for you. And of course, you had some buck dancing, buck broken black guy criticize her for saying that without understanding what she really meant. And she said what she meant. She didn't couch it. She says jobs are gone. They're disappearing. They're disappearing. And what is $5,000 going to do in this economy? Or what? It's like those stimulus payments, $1,200. Sexy Red talked about. And what does
I'll
it
be
do?
honest. I'll be honest. There will be a lot of people, even though we're not getting $5,000, but there would be a lot of people who would be happy to get $5,000. Let's, keep it 100.
Okay, what her point was that $5,000, that's going to be all you get. That's going to be all you get. And you're not going to have a job. You're not going to have any health insurance or any. What is that going to do for you in that situation? In other words, stop playing in our faces, is what she said. But you got Mr. Shuck and Jive, Mr. Bojangles doing the little dance, the jig dance for the supremacists. And speaking of the dictatorship is growing, more and more freedom. Now they're going after the freedom of the press. This is what dictatorships do, right? The First Amendment lawyers and press freedom advocates have sounded the alarm. Look what happened in Mississippi. The Mississippi newspaper was forced by a judge appointed by Donald Trump to delete an editorial criticizing city officials in Clarksdale. The city sued the publishers of the Clarksdale Press Register newspaper over an editorial from February 8th, which criticized officials for failing to notify the public about a hearing on proposed tax increases. And the judge said, you got to take it down. Take the edit. So that's a precursor. Trump has already talked about going after the Sullivan decision, Sullivan versus New York Times decision. Freedom. He's put AP out. He has eliminated subscriptions. He's mandated that no federal agency or employee can subscribe to the New York Times, to AP, Reuters, and some others. That's dictatorship in every sense of the word.
Right. Well, I know that you left out the Washington Post. We know earlier this week or end of last week, there was a certain advertising agency that brought an ad against Elon Musk, and they paid their $115,000, and the Washington Post pulled the ad. So this is just the state that we live in this nation. But I think that's why the Black press is so important, because we have the opportunity to speak truth to power, and we're not under those guidelines. And so that's why agencies.
Oh, we are under the freedom of the press. We are under the freedom of the press guidelines, which is what he's going for. And then look, we are called the Black press. You don't think we're in his crosshairs? Let's be real. We are in his crosshairs. There's no doubt. Anything Black is in his crosshairs. That little dog and pony show yesterday was just that. He's going to build. First of all, Kobe Bryant and Muhammad Ali, their families probably could care less about what Donald Trump wants, a statue he wants to build in a park for him to go and take a leak in. Give me a break. It's absolutely asinine that what happened yesterday at the White House. It's absolutely asinine for some Negroes wearing these red "Make America Great Again" hats. No, just ignoring the true meaning of "Make America Great Again" from their standpoint.
Well, I think that democracy has two sides. And so let's bring in the other side. You brought up the White House Black History Celebration. So let's bring in our guest, Danielle Carter Walters. Welcome, Danielle. They call you Danny, right?
Danny, yes. Welcome.
Welcome to Let It Be Known.
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
So talk to us about the celebration yesterday. What did you enjoy most about the Black History program at the White House?
I enjoyed, it was just Black excellence. You saw everybody there, we got along. We was on one accord. You saw how many people voted for Donald Trump, and we see that things are changing. It showed me that
Danny, let me stop you right there. How's it changing for us? How's it changing for us?
Oh, I know how it's changing for me, and I'm in a
How?
blue.
How?
And
Who's
I'm in a
paying
blue
you?
city. First of all, we getting these illegals out of my neighborhood
What
for
illegals? What illegals?
illegals.
Come on,
What
come
do
on.
you mean? We talking about
You
illegals who
you have
came
been
over.
brainwashed here. Come on,
No,
come
don't
on. You
please
really
don't tell
backing
me.
this?
Okay, so
You
you gonna
really backing
interrupt
this?
me? She talking to me. No, because see what you just said was dumb and asinine.
Oh
For
no,
you
no,
to
you
think that,
being
yeah,
dumb and asinine.
that's
Wearing
why.
this
Whoa,
red
whoa.
shirt. Come on,
That's
come on.
why. No,
How can
this
you
is
sit there when your people are being destroyed? Your people, they're taking their jobs away from them. They're taking their health
who you
care
talking
away from
about? Who?
your man. Your
Who?
man is doing that. Your
No,
man is
no.
doing
You
that.
know who did it? Your party.
No, no,
Your
no. Yeah,
party
yeah,
did
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Your
Yeah, of
party
course.
did it.
Of
And
course.
because your party did
You
it,
would go
and
with
I'm
the
living
slave
it. See,
instead of
you
Harriet,
can't,
right?
I don't argue with people who just talk. See, I'm
Oh,
living it.
come on, because all you're
I don't
doing
argue
is
with people
talking.
who
You got
talk.
nothing
I'm
to back
living it.
up what you're
So do you
saying.
want my
You got
experience or do you
what
want
is
to
your
just keep
experience?
talking?
Okay,
Some black
Okay.
man hurt you? Some
can
black
we
man
take
hurt
it?
you?
Can we take
Your father hurt
I
you?
didn't say it.
What?
Listen, what you
What?
say?
I want to let's have a conversation here.
Right. I was talking. He
Let's
just
have a
interrupted
conversation
me.
here. Calm down.
Right.
So what I saw yesterday, Danny, I'm part of the 92% of Black women that voted for Kamala. I saw in the White House yesterday the 8% of Black women that voted for Donald Trump. As a Black woman, and you see the things that they're saying about women, how they're trying to disenfranchise women that were married to not be able to vote in this next election cycle. There's so many Black history. They want to take Black history.
Who trying to? Who said that? Who said about?
What rock you been living under?
Who
What
no?
rock you been living under?
You said what?
Wait, listen.
Come
They're trying
on.
to take Black history out of the schools. Let's start with Black history. What are your thoughts about them trying to dismantle Black history as American history in this country?
Well, what the problem is, we had the Democrats that's trying to lump everybody into us. We allowed that. Civil rights, everything. That if you notice, they giving illegals, they talking about the 14th Amendment. Donald Trump was the only one who said the 14th Amendment was for descendants of slaves. So the Democrat Party, and see, we allowed the Democrat Party to lump us with everything, people of color, marginalized community, black and brown. Yet everybody else benefit from our plight. So now you get Blacks at the lowest, at the totem pole economically, and we got Hispanics and everything benefiting from DEI, all of everything. So
Do you
when
know
you
what
do,
DEI is?
can I talk? Can I finish talking?
You're not
See,
making sense. Even our
because
audience.
no. See, they don't believe in democracy. I keep telling you, the Democrat Party is about dictatorship.
You
If
guys
you
have
don't believe what
spoken.
they believe, look what he's doing. Now we can't have a conversation if you won't let me
Your
talk.
white supremacist man has killed that. So come on, let's be real
So
here.
like, can I finish talking? You want my perspective, right?
But
Not yours. She asked for Matt, but you can't tell me what my perspective is. That's your problem. You don't believe in democracy.
I'm not a
you say you
Democrat.
do until
I'm
we
not a
don't agree with
Democrat.
you. I'm not gonna let you
get
tell
down
my
with that.
narrative. You're not gonna spin
It
my
is a fairy
narrative.
tale.
I'm gonna tell
It is
mine,
a fairy
and then
tale.
you
That's
tell
the
your audience
problem.
yours.
That's
So
the
my
problem. It's a
narrative
fairy
is
tale.
this: I'm
It's
living
a
in
fairy tale.
Chicago. And then, if you want to know what killed DEI and all that, they let
What
an
is
Asian come in.
DE&I though? What is
An
DE&I?
Asian. We let an Asian come in who under us. Well, we keep doing an Asian come in, and she sued about the DEI. So because we allow elite immigrants and all that to lump in with the civil rights, and now they sued for DEI, saying it was discrimination. So you blaming your party for allowing that. If we just had,
it's not my party.
okay, well, the Democrats, you said,
my
I'm
problem
telling you what your party did.
You, as a person who looks like me, you are subscribing to slavery and you're happy about it. That's
you
my
subscribing
problem.
to slavery. I'm free to vote for whoever I want to.
Oh,
see, you've been voting blue no matter who. I'm free.
Vote.
And because, that's your problem. That's your
not
problem.
my problem.
That's your problem. You don't even vote. So I don't even talk to people
men.
who don't even vote, because what y'all say, I don't even talk to. See, listen, if you're not about making, if you're not about the solution and making if you're not about fixing the problem, so y'all had,
Right.
I don't know
So
how,
this is the
y'all
fix
had
the
50
problem.
years to fix the problem. Now
Right,
we dealing
okay.
with this. So
Who
now you
is
got the
y'all?
young
Who is
generation.
y'all? Who
You
is
got the
y'all?
I have
young
a
generation.
question. I have another question. Danny.
See, you can't have a conversation with people like that because they don't let you talk. Now you ask me
Oh, if you
exactly from
talk
our
sense,
perspective, but he
you're
kept
not
blaming me.
you're not making
Can I
sense though.
please? Can you please
Can
not
I ask a
interrupt?
question? I have another question. I have another question. So there have been thousands of federal workers, Danny, that look just like us, that have been laid off, that are about to lose their jobs, don't know if they're going to get unemployment, don't know if they're going to get benefits. And this is under the Trump, Elon Musk administration. What are your thoughts when you see people like us losing their livelihood for no reason at all?
Okay, let me say this. I saw people like you lose. See, I'm a trainer. I train women all day. That's my base. Black women. I'm in the blue. I keep telling you, I'm in a diehard Democrat state city, Chicago. So my base is black. Let me tell you something. 3 years ago, all of them lost their job. All of them had to find jobs and was threatening to lose their home. When y'all told us, when we was telling y'all that this economy sucked with the Biden and Harris, and everybody was telling us we lied, don't believe your lying ass. When the media told you, don't believe your lying ass, that we're
You're the
not in a
media.
recession. When the media told the people that the economy is good, that the border is closed, when they was lying, I was telling
Where did you
people,
see that at? Where did you
I,
see anybody
so
report? I have
like I
not
said,
seen
my
one report.
clients who
I
are
have not
black
seen one
women, my
report
clients who
that
are
said
black
in
women,
the
they been
last
lost
3
their jobs
years.
3 years ago.
Oh my
Now
God.
we had illegals
The
coming in
Kool-Aid has
Chicago,
no
taking the
sugar.
jobs. That was the problem. So now when Donald Trump promised to
What?
drain the swamp, when Donald Trump promised to drain the
Right.
swamp
And
in
now he done gave it to
2016,
gave
the
it to
media fought
Elon
him.
Musk.
The media fought him and the Democrat Party fought him, and we didn't really understand.
This
Now
is terrible.
we want him to drain the swamp. So if that happens, it ain't just you losing your job. You some people like you. Look how many white people you losing their job. So if we have to cut the fat, because what I keep saying in Chicago, they have stolen black people property. They've been doing it for so long.
Your
The
problem is
black
Chicago.
community,
Your
the
problem is
black community
Chicago.
is terrible. So they had
The
to
black
cut the
community
fat.
is
When they
terrible.
cut the fat here,
This is
when they
what
cut the
slaves
fat
say.
here, it's gonna be a lot of black people that look like you gonna lose their job. But guess what? They've been stealing and they've been stealing and
Trump
selling
is
us
a
out for a long
34-time
time.
convicted
This man
felon
can't
who has
tell me
stolen.
nothing because see, he probably stay in the bubble, whatever. I'm living it. So
I
he
have
can't
another
tell me
question.
nothing.
I have
Oh
another
my
question.
gosh.
Danny, who do you think is running the country, Elon Musk or Donald Trump?
Donald Trump is definitely running the country, but you got to understand, Elon Musk, on the campaign trail. See, this not surprising us. This is Agenda 47. If you looked at Agenda 47, we know exactly what he's doing. We actually
Project
voted for that.
2025. Call
And
it
we
what it is.
mandated him to do that. So we
You
finally
mandated
have a
this.
president
You
that has campaigned and doing
mandated your
what he say
people
he's
to
going to
be
do.
cut off
So
like this.
Elon Musk already
Oh
said
gosh. It's
that he was
enough.
going to go
It's
cut the
enough.
fat,
It's enough.
transparency, and save the
Cut the fat.
taxpayer a bunch of money. I can't wait
Cut
till
it
he do that
out.
in Chicago, because when
Cut it
he comes
out.
to Chicago and see how much money they done stole from us, all while Brandon Johnson
Oh my
steady taking
gosh. You
our
being
money on and spending it on illegals, and then had the nerve. We talking about a black face, y'all, because it's a lot of black faces in the Democrat Party. All while and
oh
then
my
coming
God.
back and trying to tax the taxpayers $300 million when you knew
Oh
we were
my
losing
gosh.
our homes,
They
and we
just
coming there
raped the
telling you,
government.
and he did
Elon
not
Musk
care.
and Trump
So
has
drain
just
the
raped
swamp,
the
fire
American
everybody, and
people.
let's start all over. I'm for it.
Oh
I'm
my
for it, because you're
God.
not gonna keep spending my tax money, because when I
Oh
go to
my
work,
God.
I pay
This is as
taxes. I don't
ignorant as
allow
it
my
comes.
taxes. And you're gonna take my
This is
taxes
as
and send it
ignorant as
overseas
it
for
comes.
50 million
Oh my
from
God.
condos and Gaza and teaching Ukraine about DEI and burning in dirt
Oh my
on
God.
Sesame Street. No, you ain't finna do my tax dollars
I
like
have
that.
a, I have,
So,
I
so,
have
so
another
Kama's not
question.
black, right? Kama's not black, right?
don't care if she was. I don't care if she
Oh
was
yeah,
purple.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
care if she was purple. Black
yeah,
faces don't move me no more. Every
yeah.
black
And you
face
got
in
that right.
Chicago
You
has
got that
sold
right.
us
All
out.
y'all piled
You
into the
can't
White
go.
House
You
yesterday.
cannot come in
You got
Chicago and
that
get
right.
no help from no black person. You can,
Okay,
a black
I have
person.
another
They
question.
put their
You
hand
on
in
your
the Bible. Let
knees
me
to
say
your
this.
master,
A
right?
black person in office, they put their hand in the Bible. I mean, when they were sworn in and say, I promise not to help black people. I promise not to help a black person. Because that's
Yep,
exactly, you got black faces, but you never, guess what?
yep,
They gonna tell you black
yep.
and brown. You bet they ain't finna say, I'm finna help just this. They
They
gonna lump
finna
you
do
with
this. They
everybody
finna
else. You
do
better
that.
pay
They
attention.
finna. You just
Do
sounded
They
you
gonna
like
lump
a
think,
you
Trump
with people of
supporter.
color,
Danny,
marginalized
Danny,
community.
Danny, do you think that white supremacy is a part of the Trump administration agenda?
I think white supremacy is a part of the Democrat Party. Because if you're thinking about it, we've been
That's our
voting,
question. Is
we've
it
been
a part of
voting
Trump?
blue.
Is it
I
a part of
think,
Trump?
I
See, this
think,
idiot won't even
I
answer
think
that.
it's
Cut
over there
off.
because
It's
look,
enough.
we've been
Goodbye.
voting. You got to understand this.
Goodbye. Come on. Come
I'm
on.
talking
Come
to
on.
somebody.
It's enough
Listen,
of that. It's enough of
if
that.
we didn't vote blue
Come
no
on.
matter
They
who
don't
for
want to
90
hear this.
years, 50 years, then I
Yeah,
could
that's
say that.
doggone
We
question.
never voted. We
They
never
don't even
gave
answer the
Republicans a
question.
chance.
Didn't
All
even
we
answer the
did
question.
as black
Good.
people as a whole,
I don't know.
we
You
voted blue no matter
really
who for
cut
50 and
this
60
crap
years.
off.
You
This is
tell
too
me
much.
what has it got? Because every blue state
It's
and
enough.
city in my
It's
community, the
enough.
black community look like trash. You go to New York, you go to California,
We
you come in
looking
my
at what looks
community,
like trash.
and they
We looking
all
at trash.
Democrat red. So you tell me, if you had a base and you voted blue for no matter who for 50 years, who would you take care of? You would think that the Democratic Party would take care of the black. If don't nobody else get
Oh
taken
my
care of, the black citizens would, because that's a lower base. For 50 years, we give them 90% of our vote. Why do we look like that? Why are we the lowest economically? Why in all the blue states? Come and look at my area. I'll walk you around and you tell me. What if black people
God.
did? If we voted for Kamala and we keep voting Democrat, it was over for our community.
But
Our
Danny,
community.
Danny,
So
you didn't answer my
I
Dangerous
listen to
question.
this one right here. This one don't even. He's
Danny,
so brainwashed. He want me to believe what he believes.
Brainwash.
Danny,
No, I don't
Danny,
follow either one of
Brainwash.
y'all. I don't
I
follow
used to
you
be a
guys.
Democrat. So you can't
Hey, good
tell
for
me when
you.
you
Good for
do your
you.
own research and when you kind of critical think and when you
Uh-huh.
see the
Yeah.
lies of
Yep.
what you talking
Yep.
about,
Yep.
then you gotta
Yep.
you understand
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then when you
Yep.
live it. See, the
Yep.
problem is these people
The
talk.
ignorance
When you
is
down
not
there
bliss.
fighting that, when you're down there fighting, and you got all black faces that you fight. Now you think we'll get help. All black faces running
Why you got the
Chicago
hand out? Why you
Democrat.
Danny,
got the hand
And you
out?
Danny,
can't get one
Why you got
hello,
the hand out?
hello, wait, listen, Danny, you didn't answer my
handout.
question.
This is property that we own.
Danny, Danny,
I own my property.
I'm
My
not
husband did.
stopping it. You
My
look up
husband did
first.
30 years
I'm not
CPT.
stopping.
These people that they took property, we don't.
excuse
This
me,
ain't no government benefit, dude. We own our property. We pay taxes. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Okay.
See,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
don't even know what
Sure.
you're talking about. That's
Yeah.
why
Oh,
you
you don't even know
talking.
what you're talking about.
So,
You
like I
sound.
said,
You are as
we
ignorant as
own
you
our
look.
property.
Get
We
off.
don't get
Come on. Get off.
vouchers or
Danny,
financial aid. Everybody worked hard and we own, and they still it.
Uh-huh.
And for them to
Yeah.
steal our property, that when we
You
paid it
are.
off,
You
you
are what
must be
they
a
say you
fool.
are.
He
That's
excuse
talking
me.
like a foolish man.
Okay, listen, Danny. We
Huh?
thank you for joining us today and giving us the MAGA perspective.
We flipping
Um,
Chicago red, baby. You gonna have me back on when we flipping red? We already did it like 34%.
thank you
Nobody wants to hear
so
from
much for
supremacist
joining us today.
apologists. Come on.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
thank you.
Good riddance. Good riddance. You backing that stuff for real? I mean, come on.
Take a breath.
This is not about. This chick didn't answer one question, and it's not about blue or red. It's not about Democrat. For me, it's not. This is about straight up what you see, what is real. She's talking about being told you 3 in media. The media never said nowhere. I challenge any of you to go back and show where it's been reported in mainstream media or the black press for that matter that the economy was so great and that the borders were closed and safe. I challenge anyone to show me those headlines. All that rhetoric is exactly what it was, rhetoric. This is absolutely absurd. This was a waste of space. And she is a waste of space.
I mean, I wouldn't say that she's a waste of space. I think that's
wouldn't
going a little too far.
She's
entitled to her opinion. Do we agree
has no
with her?
opinion,
No.
though.
We don't agree with her, but I don't think that she's a waste of
articulate it.
space.
You have to be are able to articulate it. You have to be able to give me some facts. Homegirl just sitting there yelling the whole MAGA slogan. It's like you see these people, they're taking away all these federal employees. They're walking them out the door with nothing. Jobs that used to be safe, many black people. And I got family and friends who work for the federal government, and it's hurting them. So therefore, it hurts me, right? So,
It hurts me
and
too.
here's the other
But
part
I
of it:
think it's
the
I think it's
Medicaid,
important.
the healthcare. Healthcare already is expensive, and
Yeah, but
she's gonna spout.
I think it's important for us to understand or us to see where they're coming from. Now, she
I've
said a
seen it.
whole lot of nothing, which is typically what the Trump plan does. They say a whole lot of nothing. I mean, she was no different than Stephen Miller on CNN every day. Stephen Miller gets on CNN and yells at the commentators. That is their playbook. It's deflection. But I think that it's important that we just know where they're coming from, right or wrong.
Listen, we know where they're coming from. You're right. You're 100% right. We know where they're coming from. The fact is, like I said, I listen. You want to pick Trump or Kamala or what's his name, the professor, um, or Bernie or whomever. That's your business. I'm good with you. But when you start telling us that some guy who is ripping apart people's lives, just doing it just because. And Elon Musk celebrating he was yesterday celebrating. Stephen Miller was also celebrating these people losing their livelihoods. They got families. They have worked years. They've worked hard. They don't have health care. They don't have insurance. They don't have money. They don't have anything because this guy came in here and destroyed people's lives. And that whole thing putting Tiger Woods up, what? Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
All right, well, let's lighten things up a little bit. It's Freedom Friday. And so let's lighten things up with none other than the funniest man in America. Welcome, J. Anthony Brown.
Well, that was a segment, really. That lady, she
Jay,
was, she did. Well,
Jay,
you're right.
what's your
You're
response
right.
to Daddy?
Huh?
What's your response to Daddy?
I have no problem with the Elon, who is the president, and Trump cutting, the fat, quote unquote, cutting the fat. But I'm serious. There's a way to do it where you don't get rid of everybody and you don't get rid of every program that's benefiting people. And what they're doing is cutting everybody. They're lumping everybody in. And a lot of people are going to feel this. And the thing about the illegal aliens is this: Trump hired illegal aliens. He hired them. And you're not going to stop illegal aliens from coming in this country until you prosecute companies who are hiring these people. Not one company has ever been prosecuted. And they're not going to prosecute anybody. They're going to pick a group of people and they're going to send them out and they're going to say that is the problem. And the problem with Republicans is they got to have an enemy. They gotta have an enemy. We're not all equal to them. They gotta have somebody they can point at and go, this is the problem. They don't want those jobs. They don't want cleaning and cooking and working in field. They don't want those jobs. And when you get rid of all of these people, you're gonna feel the crunch uh, of these people being gone. You're gonna feel it because nobody's gonna take these jobs. And if you pay $20 an hour for somebody to do the jobs that illegal aliens were doing, the economy is gonna go up.
Okay, but let me stop you right there. See, look, Trump is already deprogramming us. We got rid of illegal aliens. They're undocumented or they are illegal immigrants. We don't say aliens no more.
Well, what I'm saying, my problem is this: you can't have companies hiring these people and then say that they are the problem. They are the problem, but so is the company. So is
Right.
the company. The company is the problem for hiring these people. Coca-Cola, all these field workers, they're the problem. They're not gonna, not one company will ever be prosecuted for hiring these people. Never. It's never gonna happen because these are Trump's buddies. So and they're saying that when they send them out, they end up right back in here. They're coming right back. So
Yeah, this what we saw that just recently, a couple of days ago. There was this individual who, and I checked it, and it turned out to be true because you can't, Jay, you can't believe everything you see on the internet. You can't believe
no,
most of the stuff you see on the internet. But I checked it. This guy was deported. A week later, he was back, and he
yeah.
was partying.
But the problem for me is that you cannot trust anything Donald Trump says. You can't trust him. You can't look what he's doing to Ukraine. Ukraine. Look what he's doing to them. He said they started the war. That's not true. But you have a group of people who believe it. They actually believe that Ukraine started the war. So what he's going to do is make sure that Russia gets the property that they took from Ukraine, and he's going to. How are you going to have a peace meeting for Ukraine and Russia, and Ukraine is not at the table? How
Well,
does that make
didn't he
sense?
tell you? Didn't he tell you? And he always does. Didn't he tell you his mission there? Other than of course kissing up to Putin, but his mission too. There's land there in Ukraine that he wants. He said that.
Not only Ukraine, Gaza, the same
Well, we
thing,
know, right? Gaza's the
the
same
same
thing, right?
thing. Yeah,
What do you
and don't think he's not going to take land from people here. He already did it. There was a story a couple of weeks ago where this couple had like I forgot how much land they had, but the government came in and they took the land. They
and they're gonna
took
run
it,
a
run a
train of tracks
railroad
through
through
their
it.
land.
And what you have to know that if they want your property, they will take it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I need to know, like, Nia, how come you don't have my picture back there? One of my pictures on your wall. I need to. I don't see
Uh,
one of them.
Send me a piece of
No,
art. I'll
no,
put it
I've
up.
sent you a piece of art. I don't see what. Who are those artists you have back there? They ain't me. They're not
No,
me.
it's not you. It's what's his name? Uh oh, Ronnie Stevens. He's out of
Nah,
Texas.
you need some. I'm gonna
It's,
send you some J. Anthony Brown because yeah.
but it's a fun fact about J. Anthony Brown. He does have art displayed at the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, all up and down the hallways,
Is that
thanks
still
to the
up? Is
script.
it still up? The art is
It's
still up.
still up. It's still up.
Wow.
But Jay, I want to know, what do you think about Black Magas? You saw Danny, and they typically have that same temperament. What do you think makes them tick?
They believe that Trump is doing everything for them. They totally believe that if it's somebody else and it's not me, they haven't felt the crunch yet. Some of them haven't felt the crunch yet. But she's talking about how she owns her house. Believe me, if the government wants that house, they'll take it. There ain't a damn thing you can do about it. They will take your house. And I didn't have a problem with Elon coming in, and cutting some of the fat. But the way they're doing it, they're getting rid of some of these programs that elderly people, not only elderly people, young people need. And they're just cutting it straight across the board. That's going to affect a lot of people. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm saying if you go in and you cut 10% here or 20% here, that makes sense. But to wipe out all of these programs that people need, I don't get it. Yeah, I get it. He wants to be a dictator. He
All
wants to be
right,
a dictator.
let's jump into some pop culture topics, Jay. I saw earlier this week that you were in a comedy club with Ti, and Ti heckled you. What
Well,
happened?
I go to a comedy club and I go up after Ti, and I think I said he wasn't funny. I think I said that, and he took offense to it. So he came to the front and got a chair and he started heckling me. And he was heckling me. I was just, by that time, I had finished what I was going to say, all my jokes. I was just trying to make an announcement. And the announcement was I'm producing a show. It's called Words. Words is a show where you take a comedian, a songwriter, and a poet, and each one of them gets a word, and they have to produce the art in their field. The songwriter has to write a song, the poet has to write a poem, the comedian has to do. So that's what I was doing. And so he yelled out, I'll pay them $50,000 not to do it.
Mm.
I'm like, well, so it was just, I don't know. I don't know. And here's my
You
thing
should have,
with Ti. I
Jay.
don't have
Jay.
any problem with anybody getting into this arena.
Hmm.
It's open to anybody who wants to be a comedian. I hear people talk about, people comedians on the internet, and they said, well, they didn't pay their dues. I'm like, who's collecting these dues? If you want to be a comedian, you can be a comedian. All you got to do is go on stage and tell your jokes. Well, what you have to learn is, if you have a bad set, that the comedian that comes up after you is going to say something. And you can't be thin-skinned when you're in a comedy club. You know how many times in my own club they would insult me? In my own club. They insulted the food, they insulted the stage, they insulted me, they insulted the help. So I just think he has to learn, because no one has ever said some of the things to him that I said. But it's cool. Uh,
You should have
this
did what I did unintentionally to DL Hughley. I was at the comedy store in LA some years back, and made the mistake of sitting up front. You never do that, right? And and he spent at least 10 minutes going off on me, right? And he
wow.
doesn't know me. We don't know each other. But I just felt like so small, right? So the next day I was in Vaughn's supermarket, and who was in Vaughn's supermarket in Woodland Hills? None other than DL Hughley. So we had passing each other in the aisle. He looked at me. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, "It's all good." Maybe he thought I was going to attack him or something. But that's what you should have did to Ti.
Yeah.
You should have followed him to the supermarket the next day.
So Jay, we're talking
Yes.
about the state of comedy today. If Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney, Dick Gregory were alive during this time, would their comedy stick, or would it be taboo, or would they be
No, it
canceled?
was. We live in a society now where we're allowed to go. That's taboo. I mean, the same thing happened to Kendrick Lamar. When Kendrick did the halftime show, there was a group of people who just didn't like what he was doing. So I think if Pryor and Gregory and Mooney was still here, they'd still be doing what they do. I mean, they never changed what they did. And the thing about comedy is you're allowed to niche out your audience of people who appreciate you, who like you, who want to see you do what you do. The rest of the people don't matter, because they ain't buying a ticket no damn way. So when you have people like TK Kirkland and what's the other guy? I can't think of his name. Oh my God. I like him, um, I can't think of his name, but you have a lot of comics that people go, well, he's not funny. It's so what? It's not for you. You're allowed to carve out your audience in this society that we live in. Now, here's what might happen. I think it's gonna come down that you can't make fun of the king. I really think that's gonna happen. I
Mm,
really think that that's gonna happen, that you're not gonna be allowed to, because in certain countries like Russia, you can't make fun of Putin.
mm,
You can't make fun of Putin. And so with Cash Patel being the head of the FBI, I think that's the next step, is to silence the comedians and the songwriters and the poets and the newspaper people who speak against you.
Yep,
That's
it's already
next.
happening.
It's
It's
already
already happening.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you mentioned Richard Pryor, and I always say that perhaps his genius was really on display when he did that stand up after what's the name of it?
After
The
you
first
got burnt,
strip. Well, after he got burnt, and he talked about himself, and then of course JoJo Dancer was about how difficult is that as a comedian to you have. I mean, obviously you never smoked crack over a stove and got burned
you
up
don't
like
know
that,
that.
but
You don't know that. You don't know
did you get
that.
burned up like that? But how difficult is that to do that and come out after you have recovered a little anyway? Because obviously he was never going to fully recover, but to come out and really make fun of yourself in a way that it became one
Everybody
of the
could relate
best
to
of
it.
all
Right.
time.
Right, right. I think Richard Pryor was a genius in terms of whatever he went through, he was able to make it and put it in his stand up. And there are a lot of comics that do that. I mean, I think Cat Williams is a genius on stage. I think Samoa is a genius. I think, Cheryl Underwood is great. Corey Holcomb is the name I wanted to try to Remember, and there's a lot of people that don't like Corey, but it doesn't matter. He has his audience, and you have a lot of people that will go see him that like him, and that's all you need. If you could sell 400 tickets, or maybe 500 tickets per week for people to come and see you, you'll be all right. You'll be fine.
Is there a joke? Is there a joke that you have that
Yes,
didn't age
yes,
well?
but I can't. I
Is
will
there,
not do it.
listen, listen, is there a joke that you have that didn't age well that you wouldn't say in today's climate?
Well, times changing, and we end up talking about different things from time to time. Like when I was young in comedy, I talked about Amy Carter. Well, those jokes don't fly anymore. You can't talk about Amy Carter or Billy Carter, Jimmy Carter's brother. So yeah, they're jokes that you have to. And I always say this: that comedians are very, very smart people. They're not geniuses, but they're smart because they look at the news, they listen to people, they're out in the public, and they're able to take what George Carlin used to call "ooh yeah." They take stuff that everybody can relate to, and when you hear them say it, it's like, "Oh yeah, I do that. I do that.
Mm.
I've done that." And that's basically, to me, that's what comedy is. But the scariest words in show business is "you next." So you can talk all that trash sitting in that chair. When you're next, it makes a big difference. And yes, there are jokes that I won't do anymore. Yeah, definitely.
I would
It's
imagine
like
that.
it's the same thing with news stories. They're news stories that you put to bed, and we're not doing that anymore. Yeah.
Mm. Well, I would imagine that, speaking of what you probably can't do today, you obviously, Jay, remember Eddie Murphy's Delirious. I can't imagine Delirious being done again today.
Well, I mean, I've seen comics do stuff like Delirious on stage. I think Corey Holcomb pushes the limit. Either you like Corey or you don't like. I like him. I think he's a genius of what he does, and I think what he does on stage is, he's one of those comics when he says something, you're like, oh my God, he said that. Because he does do that. I don't have those type of jokes, but he does, and that's the beauty of comedy. You know, yeah, it's the same thing with news, Neil. There are people that go and do this underground stuff and talk to gang members and people who selling drugs and they go underground, and it's the same to me. It's the same thing. There's always some a group of people who are going to venture out into quote unquote the unknown, and I appreciate them for that.
All right. So if you could go on tour, comedy tour, you had to pick a OG and a newcomer. Who you
Uh-huh.
picking?
Oh, I would pick an OG. I would take Myra J. A newcomer, I would take probably out of Atlanta, a young man by the name of Bo Peep. Or the lady that used to work for the J Spot, Gina. Gina's doing
Ooh,
really well, so I would take her. Yeah, I would take Gina, Myra J, and then myself.
okay.
Oh,
Two
nice.
ladies and a guy. Okay.
Yeah,
And speaking of
Okay.
ladies, Jay, of course, female comedians seems to have made some great, great strides.
I think they're smarter than male comedians.
They're
Way
smarter.
smarter. Way, way smarter. Way. I see the stuff that they do. I mean, a lot of female comedians, they don't always go up with the bitch this and hold this. I mean, they have a different outlook because I think they're smarter than we are. And their comedy shows it that they're way times smarter. They put more work into what it is they're saying, and they don't get the respect. And that was one of the things that we did at the J Spot, Neil, is that we try to make sure that there was always a lady on one of the shows that we did. Always. And that's not always prevalent in terms of comics. I think Cat Williams does that. He has a lot of female comedians on his show, and that's cool. I think there's enough room for everybody.
Yeah.
Mm. All
Well,
right. Let's
go
talk
ahead,
about
Nia.
working with Tyler Perry. Assisted
Woo!
living comes on BET. What's it like working on the lot of Tyler Perry's and just working with him in general?
I encourage everybody, if you get a chance, to go to Tyler Perry's studio just to see how black it is. And I've been to a lot of studios. I've been to Paramount. I've been to MGM. I've been to all of these studios, and they're so quote unquote white. But Mr. Perry, he doesn't have that. To see black people, it's like Mecca or whatever. It's just
Wakanda.
all black, huh?
It's Wakanda, right?
It's Wakanda. I meant that's what a name I'm looking for. It's like Wakanda, and to see that, it's just something I've never seen before. And I've been in the business almost 50 years of going to studios, and all you got to do to see how quote unquote white people run, quote unquote, I wouldn't say they run it, but they have all the advantage jobs, is you need to go to Paramount Studio at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was going to work to do the Tom Joyner show, and you see the Hispanics coming out. They're coming out because they cleaned up the buildings, they cleaned up the studios, they mopped the floors. And then when you get off, which is 7 o'clock, you see the rich white people who got the jobs as producers, directors, all they got those jobs that you're never gonna get. I don't care how long you stay in Hollywood. You're not. I worked on black on white. I worked on black shows that didn't have any black writers.
Mm.
Arsenio had one. That was me. D.L. Hughley, at first, when he had his sitcom show, he had maybe one. So it has changed now a lot, but you're not going to get these jobs. You want to be in the room where it happens. If you get your own show, you make sure they make you an executive producer. And the reason you want to be executive producer, so you're in the room when they say this is what we're going to do. So you have a say so. If you're not executive producer of a show, your ass ain't in the room. Like in the play
Mhm.
Hamilton, you want to be in the room where it happens. You want to be in the room where it happens. And Hollywood, quote unquote, they don't give a damn about black people getting these jobs as cameramen, as grips, as directors, as white writers, as producers. Yeah, it's hard to get a show done if you're black. And you sit at home and you see all these white shows that are just oversaturating the market. I watched a lot of
Right.
football this year. This is the first year I watched. I've never watched this much football in my life. And I'm telling you, at the beginning of every football game, there's a white lady on the field, and at the halftime, there's another white lady. So if football players take up 70%
Uh-oh. I think we just
a
lost
large
Mr.
amount
Brown.
of black reporters getting these jobs because they don't want them to have them. They don't want them to have these jobs.
Hmm. Yeah, that is true. Listen, before we have to let you go, I did want to ask about one guy, Red Fox. A lot of people.
Fox I was working at a place called Mr. V's in Atlanta, and this was when Red Fox quit the show because he wanted a window in his dressing room. It sounds petty now, but it was, I want a window. He wanted a window, so he came to Mr. V's and he did a show at the township or something like that, and I think he had one of his wives with him, and somebody was behind him, tapping him on the shoulder to try to get him to get his attention to sign an autograph. And he turned around and said, "Nigga, my neck's out on a hinge. Come around." So I thought it was funny.
Yeah, a lot of people think of him only in terms of Sanford and Son, but that guy, you talk about one of the trailblazers
He
in
was.
comedy.
Yes, he was. He was. He was. He
All right,
definitely was.
Jay, before we let you go, I want to talk to you. You brought up radio, and you have been a part of two of the most important Black radio shows in the country with over the past 20 years. I'm talking about Tom Joyner and the Steve Harvey Morning Show. First question, are you still a part of the Steve Harvey Morning Show?
Well,
Sometimes I hear you in the
they play
morning.
my stuff. I'm not on the show anymore. So I called the white lady to ask her to stop playing it. And she said she didn't know anything about it. And I said, "You're a lie. You know what's happening over there. You hired me and you fired me. How the hell you don't know anything?" So she felt a little, I called her a liar. She said, "Are you calling me a liar?" I said, "Yeah, you're lying. That you don't know what's happening over at the show." So no, I'm not on the show. But for the last 3 years, since I've not been on the show, they still play my song parodies and my bits. And my argument is they own it. I have no problem with that. But you have other people who've been on this show whose stuff you don't play. Cheryl Underwood, Earthquake, and some other people, you don't play their stuff, only mine. Now, the only reason they play it, because the shit is funny. That's it.
All right, and then last thing, we are so excited that you're back on the Fantastic Voyage. I know you had took a break for a little while, but now you're back on the Tom Joyner Fantastic Voyage. What's that like being back with your partner Tom Joyner?
I have to say, in all honesty, I love the cruise, but after the third day, I want to get off that boat. I really do. It's 4,000 people. They want to take, and I know they love you, and I know they appreciate you, and they want to take pictures. And when you're in your 70s, it's too much. Let me do my show and go to my room. But it is fantastic, and I have to applaud Tom Joyner for actually starting so many entities. Syndicated radio, the Sky Show, the cruise. Nobody thought he could fill up a boat with listeners. The Sky Show was bigger than anything. And I'm going to say this: when the Tom Joyner Show was on, there has not been a show to this day that was better. That is better than the Tom Joyner Show. There's not. It don't exist. But you have to understand, we were at that particular time. We were the only game in town for a long time, and then other shows came along, but they ain't better than the Tom Joyner Show. They haven't been. Shalaman, Steve, and Ricky. I mean, I love them. I think what they do is great, but they weren't better than the Tom Joyner Show.
Real quick, are you in touch at all with Sinbad?
Sinbad, we're having another. I'm glad you brought that up because I just got a call yesterday to do another benefit for Sinbad.
Okay.
We did one before, and his brother called the guy who runs the Stardome in Birmingham and asking will we do another benefit for Sinbad, and I said yes, and I think he might be able to travel to this one, but he's
Mhm.
still not up to par where he might be going on stage.
We were the
Sinbad and I used
last.
to work on the road together. I mean, that was that was my guy. Sinbad and I, and Sinbad, because Sinbad traveled with so much stuff. I never Sinbad, and I couldn't talk because I was taking a sewing machine. I was still sewing.
Oh
But
gosh.
Sinbad had phone cords and phone. Back in the day, you couldn't have a phone that there were cordless phones didn't exist, Neil. So Sinbad had 45 feet of cable to hook the phone up. So he could go all around the house talking on the phone.
Mm.
And he was just a good guy, and he was an amazing comedian, man, amazing. With
Mhm.
Sinbad, without cursing, and I don't know how the hell he did that. You know,
Well, he also did this, like, Sinbad Soul Festival or something.
he
What
did
was
the
that
Soul
called?
Festival, and he did the TV show. He was on the TV show.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope he gets better. I hope he gets, so we're gonna do another benefit for him, and I don't have any problem with it, so I'll do it. Yeah, his
Yeah.
brother reached out to people. Like I said, we did one, and we were able to talk to him on the screen, but this time he might be actually in the audience, which would be
Wow, that
cool.
is great.
All right.
That is great.
So before we let you go, we know you're touring with George Wallace and Myra J from time to time. Where can folks check you out and get some funny from you?
Well, you can check me out on J. Anthony Brown on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. My last post got 100,000 hits. Can you believe that? I did
The
a
one about
post.
T.I.?
Huh? No, not.
The one
I took that one down. I didn't want no smoke with Ti. I'm just like, whatever. I'll see him again somewhere. I'll follow him again.
well, thanks for coming back. We were supposed to have you last week. You showed up
I
this
know. But I
Friday.
woke up. I woke up on time. I made it. So you can't say. I know you didn't think I was gonna make it, but I made it. I got up. The clock went off 7:30, and I saw the angry MAGA lady. And the
Oh
thing
man.
about MAGA people, if they love Donald Trump, They love it. They don't see anything else. They don't see the BS. They just don't see it. They don't see it. So there's nothing you can do about it. They don't see it. They're not going to see it.
They're special, and so are you. And thanks for
Yeah.
joining us this morning, Jay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you, J. Anthony Brown.
Ooh, we had a full show today, Stacey.
Oh gosh, listen, we did, but I got one more thing for you. Before we get to Black history and stuff, we have to mention this. Greer mentioned this yesterday, but the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice, in collaboration with the Bullard Center for Environmental and Climate Justice at Texas Southern University, is thrilled to host the 10th annual or the 10th anniversary HBCU Climate Change Conference, happening in person from March 5th to the 9th. Dr. Chavis, Joy Carter, Dr. Beverly Wright, and others will be at the event. So it should be a nice 4-day conference there on the environment. So it's the HBCU Climate Change Conference. So that's coming up March the 5th through the 9th. So check it out. And in New Orleans, folks. I know Orange G might take a run over there and check those folks out. But it's to be a nice 4-day event.
All right, and that's during Mardi Gras, right?
Is it Mardi Gras time?
I think it's during Mardi Gras. I think Fat Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, that's during Fat Tuesday. Yeah, so that'll be a good time.
Oh wow. Okay. So a lot. Well, as always, a lot going on in New Orleans, right?
Right, right.
So, oh boy, yeah, it was quite the Friday morning. I was getting texts and stuff like that, and even Sinead's like, "You need to just relax because these people crazy."
I was like, "Ooh, it's a lot going on."
I
I've
just
never
hate
seen
when
you
there's
so
no,
feisty, Stacey.
but when there's no substance and then no acknowledgement of, people are suffering, and they don't have to be, but they're suffering because of somebody deciding, and not only Trump, but this South African, this immigrant deciding the fate of so many innocent people, and then celebrating their hardships. It's, and then you gonna sit back. I could care less about Democrats, Republicans, Independents. I could care less how you vote, but don't sit here and tell us that everything is all on the right track when we can see. Yeah, she's talking about they're stealing from the government. Well, oh my gosh, have you been sleeping under a rock these last 4 weeks? What Elon Musk is doing with Trump's blessing? I mean, come on. And he's, this is a multi-billionaire, the richest man in the world, and it's not enough. It's not enough. They got to take and take and take. And like I said, when you see these federal workers, and I've seen so many images and video and photos of them carrying boxes out of the offices and um, crying and stuff like that, and knowing that prices are so high. Something that Trump said the day one that he was going to do in office is make sure that on day one the prices went down. The prices have now quadrupled. In some cases, gas is up. We already talked about eggs ad nauseum, but it's not just that. And then the food that we are getting now, Neil, a lot of it we keep hearing is contaminated. And what he does when he hears that the food and stuff is contaminated, he guts the Food and Drug Administration, and
And
he
then he
puts somebody
blames,
like
Joe Biden.
and he blames Joe Biden, and then he puts somebody like Robert F. Kennedy over health. I mean, are you kidding? Is this the first thing you say is this some kind of joke? Are we being played right now? Is this like what's that? Not Candy Camber, but what's the other thing? Punked. Are we being punked? And so you see all this stuff, and then to have someone come on here and of all people, a black woman, and she doesn't answer questions, and I knew from the moment she opened her mouth she was not going to answer questions, and so I went at her. Now, should I have let her talk more? Maybe, but I could care less what she had to say at that point, because she's going to tell me what. Well, yes, Democrats are not. They are not good either, but they at least there's some humanity. They displayed some humanity. They're not telling you the money you work for. Elon Musk said he was rejoicing that in the bill they're going to gut Social Security, that they're going to take away Social Security. He was celebrating that, saying that it's a, what he called it, not a handout, but certain like a handout or something, right? Entitlement. He said, you pay it. Look at your pay stubs, folks. You pay into that so that when you do reach a certain age, you have some means to draw from. And they are gutting that. They've been after Obamacare since Trump's first go around, and now they have all the means to just totally destroy it. And that's what's going to happen. And folks
Right.
like myself with pre-existing conditions, like the overwhelming majority of Black folks have, it's going to be in a pickle, to say the least. I mean, I get a shot, Neil, because some of this stuff is kind of personal, but I don't rely on the government. But I get a shot that costs it's once a week. I take a shot, $2,500 a week.
Wow.
$2,500, right? Biden's administration capped that at $35.
Mm.
What did Trump do immediately? He did away with that. And I can see if it was affecting anything. It's just like Jim Carville said, like this so-called Doge savings by getting rid of all these federal employees, it does not even begin to put a dent in the debt. And he wants to add debt. So his new budget says they want to add $4.5 trillion in debt. Now, this is the same people who said, oh, when the Democrats were in office, oh, they want to raise the debt. We can't have that. We can't have that. But they are telling you that they want to do it in a way that even Democrats felt was way beyond what they should take it. And so, when you hear someone like this Black woman come on here and try and defend that, it is absolutely, it hurts my stomach. And that give us an answer, right? You asked a specific question and she went all the way around the block, was never coming back with the answer. Was never coming back with it.
But you see, I was
So,
focused. I was focused.
yeah, you were.
You
You
might
were.
not answer the question, but it was there.
Yeah, you were. And I applaud that big time, because you told her you're not answering it. So let's get to Black History Moments.
Okay, because you know why we have to do Black History Moments, because they're taking it away from
They're
us. So we
taking it
got to
away.
preserve our history, y'all. And she didn't answer that question either, but that's neither here nor there.
So on this date in 1895, North Carolina legislature, dominated by Black Republicans and white populists, adjourned for the day to mark the death of Frederick Douglass.
On this date, I'm going to bounce around. On this date in 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated.
And, one of the darkest days in American history, right there. And on this date, 1961, Black inventor Fred Jones died and was then awarded the National Medal of Technology, one of the greatest honors an inventor could receive. He received more than 60 patents during his lifetime for inventing various refrigeration, sound, and automobile devices.
And since we're talking about inventors, on this date in 1961, Otis Boykin, another Black inventor, patented the electrical resistor. He is responsible for inventing the electrical device used in all guided missiles and IBM computers, plus 26 other electronic devices, including a control unit for an artificial heart stimulator, also known as the pacemaker.
Wow, look at that. Black man. That's a Black job. On this date in 1987, there was a rebellion. African Americans in Tampa, Florida, rebelled after an African American man was killed by a white police officer while in custody. They did one of the largest protests in Florida history.
And today we remember John Lewis, founder and chairman of SNCC, civil rights leader, and former Congress member in Georgia. He was born on this date in 1940.
And Barbara Jordan was born on this day in 1936. She was born in Houston, Texas.
All right. And then the soulful Nina Simone.
So
Okay. She was born on this date in 1933. To be young, gifted, and black. I loved her version of Young, Gifted, and Black. I know Aretha Franklin sang it too. But and what else did she sing? Four Color Girls too. That song, My Skin is Black.
Shoot,
You know
now
what
you got me
I'm
thinking of my
talking about?
girl who sung Brown Skin. Now you got me thinking of that song. I love that Brown Skin song. That gets me going. Wow.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, they killed Malcolm X as Drea. Yeah, absolutely. It's Friday, folks. Enjoy your weekend. And I'm telling you what I'm gonna do, or I'll tell you what I'm not gonna do this weekend is give any attention to the news,
Oh,
particularly
wait. You
political
have
news.
a comment from Orange G. He said Black History Moment. Cool. Stacey Brown shuts down the loud, ignorant Black mega on the internet. Job well done.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, thanks, Orangey. And it's Friday, so Orangey, it is SWAC hoodie day, and let's see what hoodie is he wearing today. I think he did say which hoodie he was wearing. Let me go check real quick before we go. Um, Let me see if I can find what hoodie he's wearing today. But it is SWAC day, and so Friday you can catch him tonight on YouTube. But okay, there he is. He's rocking Arkansas Pine Bluff. He's marked safe from Trump in his colored only meeting with the East Room blacks in the White House. And he says we should ask Greer to play They Not Like Us. And that's it for me, Neil. What you got?
Nothing much. We'll be back on Monday with more headlines from the Black Press USA. And don't forget to read a Black newspaper from your community or go online, Black Press USA, and find out what's happening in Black America.
There you are. We'll see you Monday.
And my arms are long. My hair is like wool. And my back is strong. Strong enough to take all the pain that's been inflicted again and again and again and again. What do they call me? My name is Aunt Sarah. Oh no.